Alrighty, so in 55 minutes, we've got the second group call for this round of Dream Driven Day. These just thrill me. And here's what's really cool. Like every Dream Driven Day, part of the program, so there's 30 daily lessons. Those come out like 5 days a week. Weekends are mostly off, kinda. But also we've got the Facebook group and the live calls. And I just want to explain this real quick so you can get an overall feel for things. The daily lessons, they do something. Right? They're a little longer than a Manifesting Mastery lesson. They're constructed entirely different, but they're designed to do something. We always tell everyone before you do today's lesson, I want you to do it. I want you to feel. I want you to explore. I want you to do a session where you absolutely feel that you've gotten gold from today's lesson. In other words, move to the point where you just did today's lesson. Imagine having had found gold. Having one really yummy thing to run with and run with it. So we start with an imaginal act. There's the daily lesson. We also put it up in the Facebook group, little private Facebook group for each Dream Driven Day class. So the group can talk about their experiences there if they want to, right? They can chat. They can even connect with each other up on the messenger if they want to. Some people do that. It's pretty cool. So there's the play that happens in the Facebook group. So far, we've got the daily lesson, the play that happens in the Facebook group, and then there are the live calls. For me, it's like 3 trainings in one. And the live calls always start out with, the first one is richness of experience. We explore what we call the 4 pillars of power, the happy chemicals. These are states that most people don't even realize exist. And they don't play with them. How do you play with something that you don't know exists? Or how do you play with something that most people view as just chemical or scientific or fleeting? So the first call, right? The pillars of power. The happy chemicals. We help you break out of the cortisol-driven life, which is dread and doom and distraction. Meanwhile, call number 2. This is today. Ready? How do you do violence to your desires? We dive into what the lecture One Greater Than John is all about. We don't read it. That would take 45 minutes. Right? Neville's lectures are about 45 minutes long. We don't read the lecture to you. That would be boring. I assume everybody in Triple D knows how to read. But we explore little bits and little pieces from it that make massive difference. Because if you're not having daily wins, if you aren't waking up like I sound, it's 6:08 in the morning here. I've been up for an hour, right? If you're not waking up like this, you're not having a dream-driven day. You're probably having a distraction-filled day, a dread-driven day. Oh, thank God it's Friday. See, I thank God it's Monday. Oh. Anywho. So One Greater Than John, I got a question for everyone. Ready? How and when? How and when? Write this down. Because you can explore this without doing the course. I really hope someday you do. So I hope some of you do it again. Hope some of you do it this time when you do it. Some people sign up and don't do it. I don't get it. But that's fine. They get something out of it if they do what we say. Right? Imagine having had gotten gold. So, when and how do you do violence to your desires? When and how do you deny your divinity? When and how do you do that? This is so worth noticing because so many people, see, here's a way that some people do it. Mr. 20, I never focus on the negative. You say to notice when and how I do violence to my desires, how I deny my divinity, and all that is negative, I won't focus on it. It's like radio. And a month goes by, 6 months go by, a year or 2 go by. And, if you keep putting cat shit on a turd, you keep having a turd. That's called doing violence to your desires. I don't want you to eat turds. See, Neville was all right with be angry but sin not. See, he discovered something. Emotions aren't what matter. Thoughts aren't what matter. Your emotions and your thoughts come from a state, and sometimes a negative emotion reveals that you're actually in state. Fascinating, isn't it? But we can do violence to our desires by holding on to old belief systems. This is the way it is. You can do violence to your desires by, well, imagining it's just not possible for me. I mean, I'm a guy. There's some things I just can't experience. We had a fellow over at the house yesterday here. His name is Hemlock. That's his real name. He changed his name too. It's pretty interesting. And he was wearing a kilt. He's a circus guy, right? He runs a circus. And like, oh my God, talk about fun. See, here's a guy who's not doing violence to his desires. He feels like wearing a kilt. He wears a kilt. I said, dude, where'd you get it at? That looks comfy, right? Meanwhile, one of these days you're going to see me and went on the Feel It Real Fun show. But this is what's so cool, because whenever you stop doing violence to your desires, you stop living to solve your problems. There's another one, problem addiction. You know, I mentioned that state called cortisol. Yep, if you buy into it like a lot of scientists do, they say cortisol can last 4 years. Somebody rejects you, and you can feel like shit for 4 years. And it's true. You see, if you identify as your body, if you believe you're your body, well, if you imagine you're your body, if you're living in a state that says your body's what matters, right? I am my physical body. My history determines my destiny. See, those are states. Those are ways you can do violence to your desires, too. When and how do you do violence to your desires? Do they have to make total sense? Do you have to know every step? Do you have to control the who, the what, the where, the when, the why? Ready? Here's one. Loving, happy husband. That's a desire. One of the ways that I notice people do violence to it, it's got to be her. But here's the thing. It's never her. It's always her changing her behavior. It's about her becoming mindless. You see, because as soon as you go, it's got to be her. And then I say, well, so she exists. Yay. No. She's got to be mine. Well, how do you know she's mine? Well, she'll be by my side. She'll be saying, I love you. I love you only. She'll be in my bed every night at 8 p.m. Rightio. You see, that's called doing violence to your desires. To you. But meanwhile, we're going to explore all this and more in today's Dream Driven Day call. Because here's the deal, guys. Neville taught some very simple stuff that people are making way too complicated. Neville taught some lovely stuff that you can explore forever. He explored it for decades. I had a guy tell me the other day, he goes, if that's all you got to do, why do you have so many courses and books? I says, why did Neville have over 400 lectures? Why did he write like half a dozen to a dozen he-dos and books? See, why did he do it? He kept exploring it. And the more you explore it, the more you want to invite others to explore it. And you find different ways to explain it so you can invite people to explore it. See, every course we do, it's about exploring you. Discovering and exploring the truth about you that sets you free. Because it's one thing to say, don't do violence to your desires. It's another thing to discover when and how you do it, so you can have a giggle when you do. And when we explore it in a group, it's really cool. Let's say we got 20, 30 people in a group, and some of them talk up, and we have some fun exploring how you do it specifically. You get to notice there's a lot of different ways to do it. There's the way you do it today. There's the way that you'll do it tomorrow. And as you drop them, you discover you. You discover you. Don't have to get closer to God. You don't have to get closer to your desire. You can stop. You can stop forcing it. You can start feeling it. If you got gold today, we've got this thing called ManifestingMasteryCourse.com. It is the backbone of all we do. Dive into it at ManifestingMasteryCourse.com. We're opening up the doors for Dream Driven Day for the next round, which begins in January, February, March sometime. Mid-March. If you want in, let me know. Because we're going to open up the doors. And it's going to be a party, guys. As usual. That's Dream Driven Day, March. Let me know. I'll send you a personal invite this week. Boom. And finally, sharing is caring. Those who share their lives with us, those who share the show, we really appreciate it, and we love getting to know you. See ya.